We're in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We own two F45s. One is in Mississauga, which is at the Greater Toronto area, and one in Richmond Hill, which is north of Toronto. The first one has been under our management for the last 4 years. So we were supposed to open right before the pandemic, survived the pandemic, and now living in the post-pandemic world. The second location was open before, but under different ownership. And then about 8 or 9 months ago, we took over. I think when you're working in the business and when you're in operations, two locations doesn't necessarily equate to 2x the work. Two locations actually means 10x the work. So finding efficiencies where you can help both the studios cooperate together, that's the most important thing. Earlier on in the business, when we only had 40 and 50 members, I was spending 10 to 12 hours a day doing lead follow-up and lead nurturing and selling intros. As the studio started to grow and we got to that 80, 90, 100 mark, the time that I was spending on lead follow-up started to go down, and that obviously started impacting our growth. When we got to the 130 mark, I was feeling bad because I was leaving opportunity on the tables. Like, leads were coming in, but I knew I wasn't putting in the right amount of time to follow up with them, to nurture them, to close them. And my performance and my numbers started to slow down as well. At that point, we finally decided to bring in somebody who can help with the lead management, 2 or 3 different iterations of having a sales manager, getting the coaches involved, having the studio manager do it. But all of it failed. People weren't natural at having that hunger for sales, doing the lead follow-up in an efficient way. It requires a unique set of skills, especially fitness sales. So that didn't work until we discovered gym reinforcements. And Farouk and I would always talk about this dream of having a remote salesperson who could just manage it all. But we actually tried hiring a remote person, but a bunch of people have had good sales experience, but not the nuances of fitness sales. And then when we came across GR, not to just completely pump your tires, it was the perfect solution. And once we plugged GR into our studio, immediately we saw the return on investment from a nurturing of the leads. Now the ad spend that we're expending is getting a stronger ROI because the maximum amount of leads are converting into intros, and it's done in a systemized and effective way, which freed up my time to now focus on other things in the business like operations and manage churn and increase the lifetime value of all the members.
The problem that we were having in sales is not a lack of lead inflow. It was not a lack of interest. It was a lack of not just time, but serviceability, because when we were selling foundation members, we sold at quite a high number, but it was at the 11th, 12th touch point that really a lot of people were kicking into that. But it was a lot of work. And especially when you're selling a high ticket item like fitness, right? It makes sense for someone to be plugged in and we wish to find it. And then when GR reached out to us, we're like, oh, this is exactly what we wanted someone to do to us. And this was, in our opinion, the solution. So that's why it was such an easy answer, touch point.
It was difficult for us to make the decision because it's an investment at the end of the day. And when you're already got expenses piled on, it's not very easy to accept another expense that may or may not work. Getting that confidence by talking to the team, doing my due diligence, we took the risk, but the time that it gave back was so much more valuable than just actually having an effective person nurturing the leads as well. I think there is a difference between working in the business versus working on the business. And when you're on the ground floor, coaching classes, taking care of customer service, doing sales, you get blinders on and you have tunnel vision, and that's what you're focused on. You forget the bigger picture and higher level thinking. And by the time the day ends, you're too exhausted to even put any energy towards that. The ROI here is covered at the upfront, and then it's just all gravy after that. Value what you do, charge appropriately, and step out when you can to get that higher level picture and work on the business as well. We're at about 200 members right now. We want to get to 300 in both locations. We're well on our way. We're making good progress. But yeah, super excited about the future. We got into this business to get that financial freedom, to have that income coming in through a different stream other than something tied to your salary. But at the same time, we're making an impact, and making an impact in 200 lives versus making an impact in 300 lives is way sweeter. So obviously the goal is to grow and get the studio to a point where it is 100% firing at all cylinders, and our time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, everything that we've put in has an ROI on the most positive side of the other end.
I think you owe it to yourself to do whatever it takes to get your iteration of this dream up and running. It can be scary to change things up, but you can't do everything by yourself. The reason that we opened this business is to do well at it.